What fake thing that happens in movies pisses you off? Hey guys, welcome back to the internet. I know this video is very out of place on this channel, but I felt like trying something different, so this is just a bonus video for you. Firing guns in an enclosed space, not deafening anyone. Don't worry about it. All you gotta do is screw on that little metal silencer on the end, and then it just goes pew pew. You know, honestly, I've never actually fired a gun, but I have launched a firework mortar cannon, which I don't know if that's more or less loud than a normal gun, but that thing will blow out your eardrums if you don't have protection. People sneaking around inside air ducts. Don't get me wrong, in big buildings you absolutely can walk around in there. I've done it a lot, but 1. They're dirty as sin, not gleaming metal. 2. There's screws poking in there and sharp edges everywhere. 3. There are lots of barriers to movement. Fans, filters, humidifiers, dampers, and fire dampers. All of those would stop your progress. And 4. It's not a quiet process. That metal bongs and clunks like crazy under your weight. Yeah, if the ventilation was basically just there to be a secret passage between every room, why wouldn't they just make secret tunnels that you could just crawl through? When someone is driving, and they look away from the road by looking at the person in the passenger seat for a prolonged amount of time, or when they're constantly turning the wheel and the car doesn't move, things like that bother me too much. Yeah, I did always think that was kind of weird when you're watching The Simpsons and it just shows them like turning the wheel back and forth while they're driving down the street. You're just thinking, what is wrong with your steering wheel that you have to do that to continue going straight? When an actor clearly has no idea how to play the instrument they're holding. They don't have to be an expert, but man, someone show them where their fingers are supposed to go, or stop focusing the shot on their fingers. This is something that if you play a musical instrument, you notice a lot more. I definitely can tell when it shows a picture of their hands playing the piano, and then it will cut to another shot of the actor sitting in front of the piano, and then it will cut back to hands playing, and it never quite shows the actor and their hands doing it at the same time. After a hit to the head or being knocked unconscious, people are fine after a minute. Concussions don't seem to exist in movies. Yeah, I feel like this kind of thing is especially bad in those really old black and white kind of slapstick movies, where it's just like, oh, you got hit on the head, time to pass out. Picked him up, now he's back awake. Acting like an easily removable piece of duct tape silences someone. I mean, just think of how much noise you can make with just your mouth closed. I mean, if you've got air coming out of your nose, you're gonna be making lots of noise. Turning on the TV at the exact moment a relevant news report starts. Yeah, I mean, if they want to be more accurate, all they would have to do is just have somebody open Twitter when they need to see what's going on in the news right away. Whenever some idiot is running on foot while being chased by a car that's trying to run them down, they without fail always run straight down the middle of the street, when all they have to do is simply run off to the side where there's trees and lampposts and plenty of other stuff to block them from getting hit. In that case, I always root for whoever's driving. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people bring up the complaint of, especially when, oh, the person's being chased by the bad guy and they always have to trip and just run really slowly when they're being chased. And I always thought that was weird because I hadn't seen a movie like that. And then I went on a binge of watching all of the 80s and 90s horror classics and found out what everyone was talking about. In action movies, the hero, often alone, faces an army of elite trained veterans armed to the teeth, but they can't seem to know how to shoot, take cover, use tactics, or fight. Now the meta explanation for that is just, all the bad guys got really camera shy and they just forgot all of their training as soon as the cameras were rolling. EMTs and doctors and random hero person using a defibrillator on a person that has flatlined. That is not how it works. You shock a flatline and all you do is make a patient even more dead. Flatliners get drugs to get their hearts beating, and then get shocked if the beat is abnormal. Yeah, don't take your medical advice from movies, guys. Any scene where chloroform knocks someone out in 2 seconds. I feel like Rio officially has gone too far. I mean, I don't know what's more ridiculous, people always bringing up using chloroform to knock somebody out, or the thousands of times I always hear people suggesting, oh, just put laxatives in their foods and then they'll never know. Shooting the monitor as a way of stopping the computer. Hey, well, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were using an all-in-one iMac or something. The phone rings and the actor picks up the handset, listens for 2 seconds. Oh, really? When? I'll be right there. Hangs up without saying goodbye. The actor turns around and relays 30 seconds of details that he just learned in only 4 seconds. Hey, just like YouTubers, filmmakers are always trying to hold your attention. They can't let you see 30 seconds of one side of a conversation on a phone. That a sample can be DNA processed in 2 minutes so you know who your killer is. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered, like, even when it comes to having your fingerprints left over at a crime scene, if they don't actually have your fingerprints in a database, then I don't feel like they got that much information from that. Romantic dramas, some stupid miscommunication that could have been resolved with 5 minutes of conversation, and a phone call turns into some feature-length bullcrap. Like, okay, I don't really watch romantic dramas, like, ever, but I feel like this same complaint applies to Arrested Development. I mean, I've watched that show a few times, but it's just starting to drive me crazy. I can't watch it anymore because the whole thing just relies on, oh, I heard partial information about something, and then I used my assumptions to fill in the blanks of the rest of that thing, and now I'm left completely misinformed, and this will lead to very awkward situations. And then just repeat that a few hundred times. Gift wrapping the box and the lid separately. I mean, I get why they do it, but it always sticks out to me. Also, every bag of groceries has French bread. Yeah, every time a movie character comes out of a grocery store, they have a big paper bag with a French baguette, and I'm guessing like a bunch of just massive celery sticks sticking out of it. I mean, I guess there's no branding that goes along with it, so it's easier to just not have to take the sponsors. In British soaps, which are crap in general, everyone goes to the pub every day, but no one ever gets drunk. They also order a pint, take one sip, and then just leave. Well, I guess that would explain why they're never drunk. Setting off fire alarms and sprinklers. 1. Pulling a fire alarm will not activate fire sprinklers. 2. Setting off a single sprinkler head will not set off an entire system. Each fire sprinkler has either a glass bulb with heat-sensitive liquid or a metal fusible link. You need to essentially break the bulk/link on each individual sprinkler to allow the water to flow. And 3. The water leaving the sprinkler system will be black from 1 year of corrosion that occurs inside due to the stagnant water. You do not want to be around this water when it comes out. I designed these systems. I know how this crap works. Yeah, I feel like having the sprinklers come on needs to be a very last resort kind of thing, because if those things just decide to go off at some unintentional time, it's going to basically destroy everything in the room. Women's hair is always perfect after a crazy action sequence. They're also wearing high heels all the time, no matter what crazy stunts they're doing. You know, I haven't really spent much time shopping for heels, but do they make action heels, ones that you're supposed to be doing jumps and flips in? Like, I just don't see the point. Zoom in on that. Can you make it clearer? Sure, no problem. A 2-megapixel CCTV screen grab. If only Photoshop had the option to just raise the resolution of a certain photo, it would make my thumbnails look a lot better. Movie depictions of childbirth are often ridiculously wrong. They make it look so easy, quick, and clean. This is not the case. Well, if they tried to make it more realistic, every movie involving childbirth would just be immediately rated R. Fire and lava, has no heat, people can be suspended over a volcano, or in the case of The Hobbit, surf on molten metal, and no one gets so much as a blister. See, I've heard and seen so many conflicting things about this throughout my life. Because, I mean, I've definitely heard that, like, if you are next to a volcano and there is lava right in front of you, like, it will melt you before you even touch it. But then I've also seen clips of dudes just, like, running their hand through, like, pouring molten metal, and they just swipe their hand through it and then just rinse it off afterwards, and they're just fine. So, I really just don't know. Digging graves in wooded areas. There are freaking roots everywhere. You can't dig a 6-foot grave with a pair of shovels in an hour. That crap takes time. Yeah, there are not a lot of places that it's easy to just dig a big hole, unless you're on just really soft soil. When someone throws a grenade into a building and the whole building blows up. Man, grenades have just been so misinterpreted, like, forever. They do not create massive fiery explosions. In fact, there's usually very little to see. It's just a little pop, and then before you know it, there's shrapnel flying everywhere. The fresh out of college student scoring a great apartment in a swanky part of town while working minimum wage job for themselves. In reality, you'd have 4 roommates for such a place. Or you're living in a dump in the bad part of town. Yeah, every time I see some show where somebody's like, yeah, he's just a deadbeat living in his 2-bedroom apartment in Manhattan. It's just like, you realize that's probably like $7,000 a month right there. Like, where is this money coming from? Mafia guys, mobsters or hitmen, people who are in the business of killing people and disappearing inconveniences are intentionally clumsy or stupid when it comes to kill the protagonist. No double tap, overcomplicated killing, taking their sweet time, not pulling more than 1 or 2 henchmen for a particularly dangerous hostage. Yeah, for them wanting a certain person dead, they sure like to stretch out their life as long as possible just to make sure that their death is very grand and epic. Guys who get rejected and then stalk the girl and win her over at the end of the movie. See, whenever I see movies like that, I'm always thinking, it's no wonder people are just so messed up in the dating life if this is where they're taking their cues. The member of the group that sacrifices themselves for no reason. Yeah, not to mention that every character just dies one at a time. I guess everyone needs their own individual unique death scene. A relatively small woman beats 5 large guys in hand-to-hand combat. I grew up with 5 brothers. I had to learn to be tough. With so many of these, I just keep thinking like, please do not think that this is gonna be reality. You should probably carry a gun. Neck breaking for an easy or quick kill. I'm getting sick of it. I mean, with how easy some movies make it look to just snap somebody's neck, you would think that you could just like accidentally break your neck while popping it one day. 1. Where a witness confesses on the stand. 2. There's sudden surprise prosecution evidence. 3. Witnesses monologuing on the stand. 4. Minimal hearsay objections. 5. So much forensic evidence. Drives me batty. Yeah, if you ever see like an actual court in session, it's a lot more boring than these dramatized movies try to make it look. Are people shooting at you? Take cover behind anything. Car doors, drywall, couches, tables, cardboard boxes. It doesn't matter. Everything is bulletproof. It almost seems like people in Hollywood don't really know a whole lot about guns, especially when they're killing their own cinematographers. No matter if someone is punched or stabbed or shot, they go down in one hit unless they are main character. No pain, moaning, or groaning. Nah, just conveniently down and quiet, so as not to steal attention. I mean, it's kind of funny when there's a whole story based around like one person dying, and that's such a big deal that someone has to go kill just dozens of henchmen in the process. Where it's like, don't worry, they weren't even real people. Like, they spent their whole lives training for something like this, and then they just died to somebody whacking them on the head. But this isn't about their story. So that's all the ones that I pulled from this thread, but I'm actually kind of disappointed that they didn't include the things that annoy me the most in movies. I mean, there's really only 2. Number 1 being, oh, I just moved into this new house, and now there's a super hot neighbor that immediately walks over. They're the exact same age, they are single, they are just so lonely, and they are now your new best friend. And now you just have a guaranteed love interest. You know, from somebody who has moved like a dozen times in my life, you know what it's like to really move into a new house? You move there, you never talk to any of your neighbors, they're probably all just a bunch of just antisocial or just very old people or people with little kids, and yeah, that's about it. It just annoys me so much when they make it look like, oh, it's just so easy to just go out and meet people everywhere you go. Everyone is just there looking to be your friend immediately. And then the second thing that annoys me is kind of a little more niche, and that's that when it comes to holidays, like especially Halloween and Christmas, where they make it look like every single house on the block is fully decorated, the whole neighborhood is in on this big festival, and it gets you really excited for the holidays, and then the actual holiday happens, and it's a lot more boring in real life. Not a lot happens. You kind of have to go out of your way to really be involved. And one movie that perfectly encapsulates both things I just talked about is Hocus Pocus. Now, I've watched Hocus Pocus tons of times. I think it's a fun movie, but man, has it ruined Halloween for me. It just completely destroys your expectations. But anyways, hopefully you enjoyed a more discussion kind of topic video rather than just a story topic video. I mean, I've always wanted to kind of experiment with videos like this, but I didn't want it to replace any of my main videos. So I don't even really expect many people will watch this, but it was fun to try something different.